Alright, so today I am going to be taking the bags of Uncle Ben's rice that I added the oyster tissue samples to. They are pretty well colonized. I did a break and shake on some of them, but you can see they're pretty well colonized. Entire bag. Quite a difference, as you can see, compared to got that nice healthy mycelial growth. Um, I have done a few things in preparation. I've cleaned and sterilized my workstation. I've pasteurized some coco coir as our bulk substrate. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding our colonized spawn grain to the bulk substrate. Now this is going to provide a lot of moisture for the mushrooms grow from, as mushrooms just require a lot of water to grow. So, the very first thing that I'm going to be doing is a couple of grain-to-grain transfers. It's where I just take a little bit of colonized grains from our already colonized bags and adding them to some fresh new bags. Now, I typically only do about 3 bags when I do a grain-to-grain, but I've got a lot of plans for these ones, so I'm going to be doing about 6 bags per mushroom sample. Different mushroom samples. So, why don't we go ahead and get started? Separate these by which sample they're from. Okay. We're just going to want to kind of sterilize as we go throughout the process. I've sterilized all my bags. I'm just going to kind of sterilize my hands again just to be safe. You can see I've been kind of touching a few things. I'm also wearing my mask so I don't breathe any particles, and I've got my makeshift flow hood going here to prevent any kind of particles from falling on what I'm working on. We want to keep everything very sterile. Alright, so I suppose the first thing to do would be to break off some mycelium so we can add it to the uncolonized bags. As we do that, we are going to just kind of close off these bags with micropore tape. Oops. No. We'll just kind of clean as we go. Oh yeah, those are going. Wow. All right. So I've actually got a little bit of pinning in my bag already. These oysters are just ready to grow. So sometimes, if you're not quick enough to get your mushrooms out of your bag to spawn a bulk, they'll just try to start growing wherever they're at. These seem very aggressive, which is great for me. Couldn't be happier with it. I tried to do a break and shake on some of my bags, and some of the bags, the mycelium was actually too strong for me to break apart with my hands, which I've never actually had that with any kind of mycelium before, so I'm pretty psyched. Okay, I'm probably gonna do about 2 grain-to-grain transfers per bag that I'm pulling from, and then after that, I am going to add it to a bag that I'm gonna be growing it in. So it's gonna sit. Ooh, woo! Bag's falling over. Not great, not terrible. Spilling some rice though, which I don't like. Making my workstation a little messy. Mycelium is bruising a little bit from the looks of it. Working with it. That's normal. Just as long as we don't have like any kind of green growth, that's usually some mold. Yeah, I'm just making a huge mess here. That's fine though. Okay. Okay. Now I would like to do this part about as quickly as I can, as I have now exposed my bags to the open air. Now, hopefully my flow hood does its job and keeps any contaminants off of my open bags, but we just kind of want to go quick and reduce any chances of that we can. Okay, so that one's done. One, all right. Woo-wee, that is fluffy. Goodness gracious, that is some good looking mycelium. Oh, buddy, that is strong and fluffy. This is probably one of the ones I couldn't actually break apart. Wow. Okay, come on, buddy. Come on now. Wow. That is gonna be a struggle to add to our bulk substrate. Alright, just get a little bit of that in my bag. Alright. Come on. Get in there. Alright. Wonderful. Mush that one down. Now, generally, colonized grains are way less susceptible to getting any kind of contamination growing on there, as the mycelium has kind of had a chance to really take a hold of your grains, and it'll prevent anything else from growing. Anything that might compete for those resources. But we just really don't want to take any chances. Okay, need a little more now. Okay, that one came off a little easier. Ooh, buddy. I have seen trichoderma take over a completely healthy bunch of mycelium before, and just completely eat it, take it all over. Very sad day. But I've also seen some bags of mycelium overpower some trichoderma. So it really just kind of depends sometimes. Now, if I were a little bit more careful, I'd probably have some clips to put on my open bags. But you know, I think it should be fine. As I've done this more and more, I've grown a little bit more bold, a little bit less afraid of contamination, as I've kind of seen where it does well and where it doesn't. But yeah, in general, you just want to be kind of err on the side of caution until you get the hang of it. This one's really pinning as well, but it looks soft enough that I can break apart with my hands. All right. Huh. I don't like the look of that. This bag may have experienced some contamination, but it looks like the mycelium overpowered it. can't, you know, I don't like the look of this bag. It could just be bruising, but I just really don't like the look of it, so I'm just gonna toss it. I'd rather throw out a bag of good mycelium than contaminate a whole bag after I spawn or add the spawn grain to our bulk substrate. So just erring on the side of caution there. It's okay. This is why I do so many bags. We might lose one or two here and there. Totally alright. Alright, on to our other mushroom sample here. Ooh, that looks like some really good... Holy cow! Holy cow! That one has... That is pinning way much. Okay. Okay. So usually in this situation, you kind of want to remove any large pins that you have going on. But man, oh man. That's a lot. Okay. So I'm going to bring this over to the camera for a moment, just so you can kind of see. Woo! Hopefully you can kind of, I don't know if you can. Got some little clusters of I don't know how to describe it other than growth. They're early stages of oyster pins. Man. This is I'd say this is a really aggressive bit here. Now, I did let my bags cook just a little too long. They've been ready for a bit, but I was just kind of waiting for a good day to film to actually do this. I may have waited just a little bit too long. Wowee. Oh man, that's some strong mycelium too. I'm not really sure I'm gonna be able to get these that easily. Yeah, okay. Oh, wow. That is some strong mycelium. I don't really want to touch it with my hands, because that makes it far more likely to contaminate. But man, I feel like it's not leaving me much options here. Really not. Ugh. Wow, that has got to be the strongest mycelium I've ever come across. You know what? Grabbing my gloves. Okay. Just gonna, I have to touch it with my hands. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm gonna put on some gloves. I'm gonna wash and sterilize them real quick. Gotta do. Yeah, I have definitely never come across any mycelium this strong. So this is kind of exciting. Gotta let the alcohol dry a little bit. I'm using 70% isopropyl alcohol to sterilize everything. I don't necessarily want to be touching the mycelium with wet alcohol, as that can be harmful to the mycelium as well. See that? Yeah, that kind of popped off real easy. Grabbed it. Just gonna remove these pins, set them off to the side. I suppose I could use them for the grain-to-grain transfers, but... Well, you know what? I don't know why I'd want to be wasteful here. Just gonna break off a little bit more while I'm here. Holy cow. This is some seriously tough stuff. Man. Woo! That is solid. Okay, now that's done. Again, this is just micropore tape that I'm putting on the bags. It allows for gas exchange, air to pass through, but it should prevent any particles from getting into our bags while our mycelium is colonizing. Okay, I need to keep those separate. This is number 1. Okay, I need another. Yeah, I gotta say, I just really could not be happier with these samples that I was able to get. So as a little thank you, I'm going to share some of this with my neighbors. I plan on making a little bit of spore art. I plan on making some maybe some pasta with some of these mushrooms that I get from it, and maybe I'll give them a bag. Whoop, whoop, dang. Dang, dang, dang. Alright. Maybe I'll give them a little bag so they can grow their own if they'd like. But, yeah. It's a lot of things you can do with mushrooms. In particular, I am excited for the spore art, as I've never really worked with oysters before. Oysters do drop white spores, so I'm probably going to use black cardstock or something like that to highlight the white spores. Oh, wow, that is also a lot of pinning. Wow, these are just very developed, very far along. I may have let these bags cook for a little bit too long. That growth cluster in the corner there, that is, yeah, that is quite a bit of growth. Yeah, it's just very aggressive. Wow. I am just excited for this. I've ordered oyster liquid cultures online before, and I have not had that much luck with them. But these are just really doing so well. Just really taken to the rice. Come on now. Come on. Out you go. Come on. Come on. You know, I found some wild chestnuts in the park nearby before, but unfortunately, I didn't really know how to clone mushrooms back then, so I took a sample and I took a spore print, but oh man, I really wish I could have had some of those wild genetics. This is just exciting. This is just an exciting day. Right? And finally, we are moving on to my last bag of grain to grain transfers before I start spawning the bulk. Yep, more pinning. Wow. Wow, this is just. Woo-wee. Fantastic. Whew. There it goes. Get in there. One more. The nice thing about mycelium or growing mushrooms in general is that you can basically grow them into perpetuity with just a tiny little sample. I was able to colonize all these bags. And I'm gonna be able to get a lot of mushrooms out of this. Oh wow! If I can break some off. Okay, that's the last one. I'm just gonna set these others off to the side. Unceremoniously. I'm gonna clean off my workstation one more time, and then before I move on to the next step, I'm gonna label at least a couple of these bags so I don't forget which ones came from which sample. Then I'll just mark the rest of them after the video is all done. Right. So I'm going to put my gloves on again. I'm going to sterilize them. And then we are going to add our spawn grain to our bulk substrate. You might be seeing through my gloves a little bit. I forgot I have a green screen filter on my camera because I used to do some. That little rainbow background was one of my backgrounds while streaming, so. Alright, so we've got two little plastic grow bags here. They do have injection ports, but that's for if you want to like sterilize some grains in a pressure cooker and then inject them with a syringe. But that's not what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be dumping our spawn grain and our bulk substrate into there. So, yeah, really not necessary. So this is my bulk substrate. This is pasteurized coco coir. But I think I'm going to add my spawn grain first. Okay. Okay, so this might be a little bit difficult. Generally, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your colonized spawn grain and you're going to want to crush it up in your hands until it's, you want it as small as possible so you have as many inoculation points as possible, but this mycelium is really strong, so we'll see how well we can do. The brown rice can also kind of have a tendency to mush a little bit, so it's not ideal. I could be using some other grains for my spawn grains, or oysters grow really well on wood. Some people like to use hay or straw to grow them off of, but I don't have a lot to work with, so I'm just using my bags of Uncle Ben's rice. So I'm kind of limited by the technology of my time. You know what? I'm going to be a little bit lazy. I'm not going to break them down all that small. We've got a lot of bags per, a lot of spawn grain per large bag. So you know what? I'm going to say it's fine. I'm just going to leave a few large chunks. Wow, that is some strong stuff. I have just never, ever come across mycelium this strong before. This is just amazing. Wow. Alright, that's, I guess, as much as I'm gonna get that. We'll just move on to our next bag here. That almost fell out the bag. Wow, that is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful chunks of mycelium. Very well colonized. Very healthy looking mycelium too. No metabolites. Not really any contaminants that I can see other than maybe that one bag. Very, very healthy looking. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And our final bag that we're going to be putting into this grow bag. Jeezy Pete. Okay, I thought I might have to get the scissors for that one. Wow, this is just so difficult to break up. I cannot emphasize that enough. Oh, goodness, like little rocks. Alright, now you may have noticed that I'm only putting one hand in the bag. I'm keeping my other hand out of the bag, so it's not so covered in mycelium. Because in a second here, I'm about to reach in and grab a bunch of coco coir, and I'd rather use a hand that hasn't been touching a whole lot of stuff. Man, yeah, there's no way on earth I'm getting these all to individual grains. So we have this is our starting out point. I guess you could say our chunks of mycelium that we're going to try to evenly distribute throughout all the coco coir, so it can grow from as many places as possible. Now I'm just gonna mix this up real quick, because they come in bricks. Pour some boiling water on them and let them sit for at least 6 hours. I'm just gonna stir that up, make sure it's nice and all over. All right. Now, this is a real messy stage in the process. I guess I shouldn't be blocking anything here, but something to pay attention to. No matter how much you're starting out with, you want to pay attention to your ratios. Your ratio of spawn grain to your bulk substrate. Now, I would say that ideally you probably want about a 1-to-1 ratio. Just kind of depending on what you're going for. Some people like to do a 2-to-1 spawn grain to bulk substrate ratio, but this 1-to-1 suits my needs just fine. Okay, so we're going to close this up, shake it around a bit to distribute that a little more evenly. Maybe I should have kept my gloves on and mixed it with my hands, but well, oh well, gloves are off now. Yeah, I definitely should have kept my gloves on and mixed this. Oh, wow. Yeah, I messed up. I done messed up. know what? I think I might just put my gloves back on, because this is not going super well. Put my left glove on, use that to mix things up. Hopefully, fine. I know I'm playing things a little loosey-goosey, a little risky. Well, that's just how I roll. Alright. Get down to that mycelium. Spread it around. So we don't want it all on the bottom. We do want it all over so it colonizes quickly. Your block will not start fruiting until it's fully colonized the substrate. Because that's fruit. Mushrooms are essentially just fruit of mycelium. They're the fruiting body of the organism. And mycelium's purpose is to eat, move on to the next bit of food. So it'll, after it's sensed that it's eaten all that it can, it'll grow some mushrooms and start fruiting and dropping some spores to move on. Now, before I close off this bag, it's not mixed perfectly, but it's mixed decently enough for our needs. I am going to, there it is. Okay. I'm going to spray it with some clean water. We're just going to kind of simulate a heavy rain. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold the ends of this, or fold this bag over a few times. Let a little bit of the excess air out. I don't want it completely deprived of oxygen, because it does need to breathe, but I do not want to let any contaminants in, so let my tape over. Forgot to bring my tape over, so we'll just tape this bag shut. Not 100% shut, but shut enough. And then we'll give that probably about 2 more weeks to colonize. And then we'll cut an X in, we'll just kind of cut an X in the side of the bag, start misting it, and after that we should start getting some mushrooms. Alright, so that's our first bag down. I want to label this one as well. Alright, I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to clean up my station, and then I'm going to get started on the next bag. Actually take these off of here. They now have their paper tape. They should be fine and just sit out in the open air. But I do kind of just want them out of the way. Okay. Alright, yeah, I made a bit of a mess, but it's fine. I'll clean it up later. Alright, I'm just gonna go wash my gloves off really well and then sterilize them. Okay, yeah, this would be the part of the video where music kind of helps out a little bit, but I'm afraid of getting copyright striked. I think the poor video quality of my last video was my saving grace. I think YouTube will mute videos that it finds copyrighted music on. I'll let those just dry out a little bit before we get started. Do it in front of my flow hood, I guess. Still a little wet. Now, since I tossed one of my bags for this sample, we are gonna have just a little bit of grain spawn, so I'm gonna add a little bit less coco coir than I did with the last one. Okay, that should probably be good. Alright, and we're just going to start the process over, breaking apart our blocks of mycelium. This is going to need some scissors. And better just get this one right now. Oh my goodness. Is that bruising? I think that's just bruising. Okay. You know, I think it's just bruising that's going on here, as this bag did not look like this earlier. This sample seems to be bruising a little bit differently than our other sample. But you know what? I'm just going to say screw it and throw it in anyways. If that is the case, it's kind of unfortunate that I lost a bag, but hey, it's all, if it's necessary, it's necessary. I'd rather be safe than sorry here. Yeah. Oh yeah, this one's a lot softer. You know, dang it all. Alright, I lost a little bit there, because I was being a little bit careless, trying to get a closer look at this mycelium, see if it is bruising or contamination. I think it is just bruising, so we're just gonna roll right on ahead. You know what? I just sterilized the surface. I'm calling it good. Yeah, the mycelium from this sample doesn't seem to be quite as strong as the other one, nor as aggressive in its growth. So we'll see what we get out of this bag. If I find any really good mushrooms, I might take a few more clones. But really, the grain-to-grain samples should be good enough to continue those genetics. Yeah, this is a lot easier to break apart. Yeah, a lot less mycelium there to go off of. So we'll be using less coco coir here. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I just cleaned the kitchen. Guess I'll get to clean it again. gonna learn from my mistakes and keep my gloves on. Just kind of mix this up. You know, I've done this a few times before, and at first I was really worried about my arm getting this far into the bag, as my arm is actually touching the upper bits of the bag, but I was prepared this time, and I washed my arms up to a little bit past the elbows. So hopefully I shouldn't see any problems going on here. Okay, so that's about evenly distributed, I'd say. I think I'd like a little bit more coco coir on this. I mean, it's not going to hurt it at all. If anything, it'll just take a little bit longer to colonize. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. Gonna simulate our rain. Okay. Yeah, let's roll with this. Ah, come on. Okay, and that's our second bag done. So, yeah, a little bit of a lengthy process, but now we've got two decent bags of oysters that should hopefully start fruiting. Well, be fully colonized and fruiting within about 2, maybe 3 weeks here. We'll probably post some updates to let you know how it's all going. But yeah, that is it for now. So thanks for watching.